Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany. This is the Brittany React Show, and on this show we talk all things movies and entertainment and pop culture. Although today we're just going to talk about movies and entertainment because we have a lot to go over from the past 2 weeks. So we have to talk about the fact that the Superman tracking is kind of low, which is interesting. We have to talk about a lot of the movies coming out are some are doing well, but like they're not doing as well as they could. We still haven't had a $1 billion film yet, so we're going to talk about that. The state of Hollywood is a mess. It really is. We have a lot of good things. A lot of Marvel, a lot of Disney. We have to talk about Elio flopping, but also maybe Disney trying to turn things around with 2D animation. What? Hello? But anyway, how is everyone doing? Sorry, I didn't have a show last week. Things just got busy and I didn't have the time for a show, but I wanted to make sure I made time today to do this. So, hello everyone. Hi Sunset Draws, hi Astronomy, hi Naomi Long, hi Black Star, hi Khan, hi Nicholas, hi Taisha, hi Cheetah Viper, hi Black Star, hi Will French, hi Rodney Dollar, hi Josh, hi Mythic, hi Stella, hi Cream Cheese, hi Morbid and Sarcastic. Thank you to each and every one of you who comes to my show. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. So yes, let's just get straight to the box office news. So I do want to update on some older films and how they're doing first. Moana, sorry, that is not the right one. I want to talk about Lilo and Stitch. Yes, Lilo and Stitch. So it just crossed 910 million globally. I know in our last stream, one of you was swearing up and down that not only was Lilo and Stitch going to cross $1 billion, but it was going to do it in like the next week. Well, it's been 2 weeks and it still hasn't even crossed $1 billion yet. So as I was saying, it's doing well. It's definitely doing well. Like I'm not saying like this is a flop. It's definitely not. However, I do think that Lilo and Stitch is not doing as well as it could. Like I think if the ending had been different, I think if it had been more universally well received, I do think it would have done a lot better. I think this is like kind of like how Frozen 2 did well, but I think it could have done better if word of mouth was stronger. This is how I feel about Lilo and Stitch. It's still doing well, but I honestly think with how much it's slowing down, it probably won't cross $1 billion. And I think that's due to the fact that while families and casual audiences liked this film, they did. I don't think this really spoke to a lot of diehard Disney fans or people who are really big fans of the movie. And those are the people that usually go and see your movie like multiple times in theaters. So the fact that they made those people angry, I think, is why this film might not cross $1 billion. But what do you guys think about Lilo and Stitch? Do you think it needed to cross $1 billion? Do you still think this is like really good regardless? What are your thoughts here? Oh, you don't want it to cross $1 billion. Interesting. Okay. Um, yeah, Josh, I think that's what's going to happen as well. I think it's going to get very close to $1 billion. Like Minecraft got very close to $1 billion, like how Multiverse of Madness got really close to $1 billion, but I don't think it's going to quite cross it. Um, Rodney, oh, you do think it'll get there, but just slowly? Okay, we'll see. If it does, I think it'll just like barely kiss that mark, but who knows? Um, yeah, Will says if Lilo and Stitch had been truer to the original, it would have already passed $1 billion. I honestly agree with that. I think if the ending was different, I think if it had been more like the original, not only do I think it would have been past $1 billion, I think it would have flown past a while ago. The fact that it's going this slowly, I think is, like I said, it's doing well. I'm not saying it's not doing well. I just don't think it's doing as well as it otherwise could have. So yeah, that's my point with Lilo and Stitch there. So How to Train Your Dragon, that opened last weekend, so I didn't get to cover it. So yeah, it crossed, so far it's already crossed 350 million globally. The film had a budget of 150 million. And then this is doing well. It's definitely going to make a profit. However, this is kind of the theme that I was talking about at the beginning of the stream, how like there are a lot of movies that are doing well, like this will make money, Lilo and Stitch will make money. However, I do think that they're leaving money on the table still. Like, I also don't think this will cross $1 billion. And I do think that at some point, this franchise had the audience and the hype to get it to $1 billion, but I don't think that it's there. And even the fact that, Universal just opened Epic Universe in Florida, and it's the wait times there, and like it's not as busy as they were expecting it, and they opened a huge How to Train Your Dragon land there. So now I'm wondering if maybe the brand is just not as like strong as they thought, or maybe as much as it used to be. Because I know the first movie came out a long time ago now. I wonder if maybe like younger kids today just aren't into How to Train Your Dragon as much as like people who were kids when the first movie came out, which is like essentially my generation. And I don't know, and I didn't go see this movie, so I wonder if like others also didn't go see it. But it'll still do well, it'll still make a profit. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna like break any records or anything. This is like a solid performance. That's how I would put that. But how do you guys feel about How to Train Your Dragon? Have you seen this movie? Did you like it? Did you expect it to do better, or do you think this is a good performance? Yes, it'll definitely be profitable. That's for sure. Um, yeah, they're definitely going to make a second one. I think this will make enough money that a second one is guaranteed. Also, I think they made this movie just because they wanted to promote the new land anyway, so they have to. Um, Mythic says Universal has been limiting crowds in Epic Universe. They were doing that. However, I don't think they're doing that anymore. So, don't think that's still the problem. You think it'll do better on streaming? We'll see. We'll see. Um, Stellella says, I love the OG films, but if the live action is just a complete copy, I'm no. Yeah, I think a lot of people, because like even the trailer looked like a shot for shot direct copy. And I think a lot of people who liked the original was like, well, I'm just going to watch the animated one. Like, why would I need to watch this one? But we'll see. Like I said, it's still doing well. It's just not doing like amazing or record breaking or anything. And I feel like the potential was there for that. So that I feel like there's still some money left on the table here, despite the fact that it will be profitable. I also want to talk about Ballerina. So Ballerina, if you guys remember, was the John Wick movie that stars Ana de Armas. I loved Ana de Armas. I liked her in Knives Out. I liked her in the Bond movie. I haven't seen this yet either. Honestly, I've been doing this thing where now I'm like focused on seeing movies that I'm genuinely excited about and like want to see, and then I tell you guys about it. I'm kind of not feeling like I have to see everything in theaters every weekend anymore. Um, and that feels very freeing, I have to say. And now that I don't feel like I have to do that anymore, the amount of movies I don't want to see, it's like actually a lot. Because I'm like, there's nothing interesting that's out that I actually want to see until Superman, to be honest. Um, because even the Jurassic World movie, I'm like, I hated that last one so badly. As you guys know, I've made my opinions about that movie well known. That it's like soured me on the whole franchise. And then Fantastic Four, I don't like the cast other than maybe Johnny. And I just think that it looks boring. Like from the trailer, it just looks like it'll be boring. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested in Superman, but like even half the reason I'm interested in Superman is because I like the behind the scenes drama. So I'm like, oh, now that I know that DC has had like this roller coaster behind the scenes of like up and down, and they're trying to reboot an entire cinematic universe. Like, I'm kind of into like Superman just because I want to know like how it's all gonna turn out. And also because I do think it genuinely looks good. I think it looks like the kind of Superman movie that I've been waiting for. As you guys know, I have not liked, um, I have not liked like I did not like Henry Cavill's interpretation, or I should say Zack Snyder's interpretation of that character. I did not like the darker aspect. I did not like the sort of growly, pouty, sad face, emo Superman. I hated it. I was one of those people that did not like Man of Steel just because I did not like the direction they went with. So the fact that they're going with for a much lighter, more hopeful, like even more dorky Superman is exactly the kind of Superman movie I've been waiting for. So I think I'll probably like this more than Man of Steel, bar some sort of catastrophe, because I really did not like that movie. Um, so I'm kind of looking forward to Superman. Other than that, like I'm looking forward to Wicked and Avatar. And that's like it. It's bad. It's bad. It's slim pickings out there. Avatar 3 looks awful. Why we haven't even seen a trailer from Avatar 3. You don't know it looks awful. Um okay, Ballerina was good. Maybe I'll watch it on streaming. Yeah, I mean, I know I should get excited about Zootopia too. I did like the first Zootopia, but like Disney has been so like mostly missed with their movies lately that I have doubts about the quality just because I don't trust Disney to like deliver a quality movie consistently. Um Oh, that super says Superman looks bad to you. Looks like a CW show. I will say the one thing about Superman that I still don't like is how it looks. I don't like the cinematography. I know they got the same cinematographer as The Flash, and I hated, even though there was a lot that I didn't like about The Flash, but the number one thing I didn't like, if you guys go back and rewatch my review, because I did a whole review on The Flash, I said the thing I didn't like about The Flash the most was how it looked. I love the cinematography and the visual effects in that film together made the film look disgusting. Like visually revolting to the eyes. Like I did not like how The Flash looked at all. And there are certain shots and sequences from the Superman trailer that give me super like the Flash vibe, so I'm like that does make me nervous. I do not like how it looks visually. I don't like the color palette. I think the coloring is all weird. So that I will give you. But I'm hoping that the story is so good and I like David Cornsweet's Superman so much that I won't mind the visuals. Rodney says Avatar 2 I watched 10 minutes in and just skipped the whole thing. I will say I feel like I'm in the rare group that I liked Avatar 1 more than Avatar 2. And the reason why I liked Avatar 1 more is because I liked the story more. I thought Avatar 2 was like the story just didn't interest me. Even though I thought it was gorgeous, the story did not interest me. And I think one of the reasons why Avatar 2 interested me less, even though a common, like, I think a common critique around the Avatar franchise is that, like, the story is better in the sequel, even though I very much disagree. And I think one of the reasons why I didn't like the second one as much is because they made Natiri's role really small. And Natiri was actually my favorite character in the first movie. I loved seeing the Avatar world from her perspective. And so the fact that they like sidelined her and then they made it all about like Jake Sully's son, what's his name? Like Lovak or Lonak or whatever his name is. I did not give two rats ass about his son. I'm just gonna say. I even kind of like the autistic coded daughter, like the Sigourney Weaver role. I kind of liked her, but she even had a very small role, and so like they wanted me to care about that Lonak kid or whatever the son, and I was just like I do not care, and so that's kind of why I was not into the sequel as much. Um, but I liked Avatar 1. I will defend Avatar 1. I'm an Avatar 1 defender. You notice the new Superman trailers look less blue. I do think that they tinkered with the coloring. I do think they made some changes from the first trailer to the second. However, there's still some issues that I don't like, so it's not like fixed totally for me. Um, anyway, we are like way off topic. Josh, you said, so glad they removed the scene of Superman flying as it looked bad. See, a lot of people have been talking about how they don't like the CGI flying shots in Superman. And I have to say, I just don't know if there's a way to make flying look good in live action. Like, I kind of feel like it doesn't look terrible. Like, it looks cartoonish, yes. But I think that kind of fits with the vibe of the movie from what I'm seeing so far. It looks a little cartoonish. So, I don't know. I don't hate the way that he flies. That's not one of the visual things that bothers me. But let me get back to the actual news. I forgot all about F1. Poor F1. But yeah, the Ballerina has crossed, at this point, it's, I believe, over 100 million. You know, because they don't get to keep all of that money, it's still a bit of ways from breaking even. I hope it does, but I'm not sure. I do want Ana de Armas to get another hit, though. I think she really needs one. I think she managed to barely escape her career exploding after that Marilyn Monroe biopic. But she really just hasn't like been able to like latch on to anything since Knives Out. And I think that she is missing that. I think she needs like a second Knives Out kind of movie. But we'll see. I'm still rooting for her. But yeah, I think this is a miss. I think that trying to stretch out the John Wick franchise and like turn it into a multiverse is a mistake. I just don't think it's that kind of franchise that can sustain that. Because they tried it with they had that TV show, right? That John Wick TV show that no one watched. I just don't think that there's enough interest in the franchise to extend it that far. I think if Keanu's not the lead, he's not the star. I think people don't care. So that's why I think this is happening. I think Anna honestly just needs to pick better roles because I think this was kind of doomed from the start. Now, I do want to, because I forgot to bring up the F1 opening. Hold on. Just want to make sure I get the number right. Okay, so it has not opened. Someone commented in the chat that they wanted to talk about F1, and I was like, wait, did it already come out? I thought it hadn't yet. So it hasn't come out, so that's why I don't have F1 up here. But yes, it does look like F1 is tracking to open between 48 to 60 million, which I'm not sure is really great. I mean, for a race car movie, I think that's probably good, especially an original movie. However, I think this also has like a crazy budget, so it's definitely not going to make its money back in theaters. But apparently, Hollywood doesn't care about that anymore. It's all about the prestige. That it's just like, fuck it, we're not making money anymore. I don't know. Um, Honestly, the only thing that I can think about, like when it comes to the F1 movie, is that really bad Tate McRae song that she made for it. Have you guys heard that Tate McRae song? I have nothing against her personally. I actually do like her personally. She seems like a nice girl, but I cannot stand that girl's music. I think it sounds so corporate, so like made by committee, so like some executive was somewhere trying to reverse engineer a TikTok hit and like they just told her to sing it and she did. Like I'm not even trying to be mean, but I just did not like that Tate McRae F1 song. Did anyone even listen to it? Do you even know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it does seem small. I don't think that's really a good opening for F1, to be honest. Top Gun opened to 126.7 million. So that's quite a bit away from Top Gun, and this is basically Top Gun but with cars from what I've heard. Um Yeah, I mean, race car movies, they don't really have like a high window for success because so Rodney just pointed out that Ford v Ferrari also opened small. So I just think that there's not a lot of people out there who like want to see a race car movie. I'm sorry. I think even like Middle America, like I don't know if they want to see Brad Pitt do like pretend to be a race car driver. You know what I mean? Like I think they just want to watch like actual race car. Um, I don't know. I just feel like sports movies in general, there's always going to be a ceiling because as many sports fans as there are out there, and there are a lot of people who obviously love sports, like not denying that, like millions of people. There's also millions of people who do not care about sports. I'm one of those millions of people. So like I think any kind of sports movie, you're automatically going to niche yourself because not everyone, always going to be a group of people that go, oh, it's about sports. Nope. And I am in that group. So I think, especially NASCAR, like even NASCAR is a niche, even in like the sports world. So I really do think that like the budget should never have been super high to begin with because this is like the kind of topic that was never gonna like draw a huge crowd. It's much different from like fighter pilots and like Top Gun because more people have had the experience of being on a plane, so I think it makes it more relatable. And also there isn't already some sport that's like watching planes go by. I mean, I'm sure there is, but it's not like a mainstream one like NASCAR. So I think that's what makes it different. But would you guys want to see F1? Also, I don't like Brad Pitt, so he's one of the people that I have a problem with that Hollywood seems to always prop up, even though like his own kids have disowned him. Like this is just one of the many reasons where I have problems with Hollywood, and they just like seem to always want to. That's why I hate when like celebrities want to like finger wag and like try to be like holier than thou and try to tell people how they should feel politically when their Hollywood is filled with so many demons and ghosts in their closet that they don't even want to deal with. Like, go deal with your own ish. Okay? Stop trying to like tell everyone else what's morally good when you guys clearly have no idea yourselves. So that's just something that bothers me. But that's another aside. Josh says, I'm more excited for Megan. Honestly, I'm kind of getting excited for Megan too. I think it's very campy. I think Megan appeals to, ironically, not just horror fans, but I think it appeals to the girls and the gays. I think Megan very much appeals to the girls and the gays. I think they even know that, and I think they've like made certain story changes to the sequel based on what I've seen in the trailer, trying to like appeal to the girls and the gays. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to Megan. Um, Rodney says, I mean, Jared Leto still has a career. Case in point, Disney put Jared Leto on a Disney film knowing he has a list of rumors about him that are as long as my arm, and they still want to lecture us about morality. Okay. Um, he seems so boring to me. Brad Pitt. I've never gotten the Brad Pitt hype. Like, even when he was like younger and cooler, like in the like 2000s or whatever. I mean, I was a kid, but like I never thought that like Brad Pitt was all that. Like I've never been impressed. Even before I knew anything about his personal life. I've never been impressed. I don't even think like he's like even that hot. Like, yeah, in Fight Club he looks good. I will say in that movie he looks good, okay? But in general, he just like has the most generic, plain, and I mean this not disrespect, with no disrespect. I'm just describing him. But Brad Pitt has the most generic white guy face I have ever seen. And everyone swears he's so hot. And I'm like, he just looks like Brad from the football team down the street. I don't know. I don't get it. Leonardo DiCaprio was always 10 times hotter to me. Like, I never got the Brad Pitt, like, hot obsession. The only time I ever got it was in Fight Club. Like, but that's like one movie. But that's just my own personal thing. Maybe he's just not my type. Because I also never got on board the Henry Cavill train. But I am all on board the David Cornsweet train, if you saw my tweet. Anyway. Oh, Danny disagrees. Danny says Brad Pitt is daddy. What? Okay. That super says Brad Pitt and Mr. and Mrs. Smith is what did it. You know, I've never actually seen that movie. Maybe that's why I never got the Brad Pitt hype. Maybe I have to see that movie to get it. I don't know. I even think Tom Cruise is more attractive. I don't know. It's just like Brad Pitt is just like has such a generic face that I just can't see him as like a hot guy. I don't know. It's just I don't know. I've never seen it. But he's always been pitched that way and I've just like never seen it. But maybe that's just me. Maybe move on, because some of you are probably like, why is she going this? But anyway. Eugene, what are you saying what to? What part of that got you offended? I don't know. But anyway, let's move on. So 28 years later, earned 30 million on its domestic box office opening, with a budget was 75. That's not good. This is really low. This is actually very low. Like I said, a lot of these movies that have been opening are like opening, even if it's not terrible, it's still not great. And right now the theaters are hurting so bad, we really need a lot of great performances and we're just not getting them. I really don't think we're going to get, I mean, Hollywood is desperately hoping that July is a big month because we have the Jurassic World movie, we've got the Superman movie, we got Fantastic Four. So they're hoping that at least one or more of those movies is a huge hit. I think it's possible that that could happen, but I think it's also equally possible that all three of them underperform. And based on tracking, that could be the case, which is the craziest thing. Especially if like bunch of these movies get, or all three of them, get hit with like low ratings, like on Rotten Tomatoes, I really think we could be looking at a potentially bad summer. But I also think that one or two of them could also be a huge hit. So we really don't know. It's like, I think that's why Hollywood's like constantly speculating, especially about Superman, because no one really knows what they're going to do. It could go either way at this point. I have no idea personally. And I don't even know if I'm going to like it personally. I personally think I'm going to like Superman the most out of the three, just based on the different trailers that I've seen. But who knows? I really did not like Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So, and I also didn't like the Suicide Squad. So there are some Gunn movies that he's made that I didn't like. So I don't know. It might just be like, who knows? I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen in July, but we'll see. We'll see. But I have to say, after how this year has been going, Hollywood really needs those movies to do well, especially Marvel. Marvel cannot afford for Fantastic Four to underperform, but we'll see. Um, yes, we will get to that. No, that's the. Oh yeah, it earned 60 million at the global box office, so a little better. But the domestic box office is so low that really I would say this is still like not really a good opening. This is like pretty disappointing in general. But speaking of the three that are coming out soon, between like Superman and Fantastic Four and Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, which one of those do you think will actually do the best? Which one do you think will be a hit out of those three? And which do you think will not? Because right now, I think each of them are like 50-50 flop or hit. Like, I have no idea. I really don't. I thought I was more sure like a week or two ago than I am today. Because like things keep changing. I have no idea. So how do you predict this summer will go? What are your thoughts? Um, Rodney says July, August, and the next 2 months, crickets until November. You know, I was looking at next year's film slate just because I was curious. And there's, like, for whatever reason, how next year is programmed, there are, like, long stretches of time where there are, like, several months where nothing is coming out. And then, like, a couple months where, like, everything is coming out. So I don't know. Next year's going to be weird. Okay, Valerie thinks Superman. Yancey thinks Jurassic Park. Travis thinks Superman. Mythic thinks Jurassic World. So I'm seeing it's between Jurassic World and Superman so far. I haven't seen anyone say Fantastic Four. Danny, you think Jurassic World will make 1.6 billion? That's a lot. Rodney thinks it's Jurassic. Superman will do the best, in my opinion. Jurassic. Okay. I think all the July blockbusters are going to be hits. If all of them are hits, Hollywood will be ecstatic. But here's what I think. I think realistically, at least one of them will underperform because I think two of them will eat the third one because they're just all coming out at the same time and they can only share so many screens. So I think that if some of them do well, it'll be two of them. But I think there will almost certainly be one that slightly underperforms at least. I don't think that all three will be big hits. I think at least one will. And if I had to say the one I think will most likely underperform, uh, mm. If reviews are bad, it could be Superman because I think it really depends on reviews. But I will say if reviews are good for Superman but bad for Fantastic Four, I can see Fantastic Four being the one that underperforms. I think it'll be between one of those two that will underperform the most. Yeah, Superman is just too close to Fantastic Four. I agree. Sonia, you would have to pay you to see Fantastic Four? Yeah, honestly, I'm only seeing it because I feel I still have some sort of weird, sick, masochistic devotion to seeing Marvel movies. For some reason, I still feel like I have to watch them. I've given up on the Disney Plus shows. I didn't even finish Daredevil, but and I probably won't watch Ironheart. I'm just gonna let you know. But I'm still gonna watch the movies. I'm still here for the movies, but the movies plus the TV shows. That's a lot. That's a lot. I might watch the Vision show, just because it's tied to WandaVision and Agatha, probably. And I'm interested in that storyline, but like that might be the only Disney Plus stuff that I watch is anything related to like the witches corner of the MCU. Other than that, I think I'm done. Um, oh yeah, and Smurfs. Nigret, you're so right. Smurfs is flopping so bad, I forgot to mention it. That's how badly it's doing. I forgot that movie even came out. Rihanna released a whole song, and that movie still flopped. Rihanna flopped. The Smurfs made Rihanna flop. Like, do you understand how that's crazy. Um, but anyway, let's get back to this. I'm really going off on a lot of tangents today. So Elio, let's talk about Elio, because yeah, Pixar is in a lot of hot water right now because Elio just had Pixar's lowest opening ever with only 21 million in the domestic box office opening weekend, and the budget was 150 million dollars allegedly. I'm going to say all Disney budgets are allegedly from here on out because I think they lie their asses off about it, but for this intensive purposes, we're going to say the budget's 150 million. Um, 21 million is embarrassing. That's not a flop. That's not an underperformance. I would put this in bomb category. Unless it pulls an elemental where like suddenly it holds really well week to week and like South Korea saves this movie randomly, which I just don't see happening because that's what happened with Elemental. Um I just do not see Elio like doing that. Even though I will say like the audience scores are good. It got an A cinema score. So that is good. Audiences generally do like this movie. However, it's still not drawing a huge crowd. And I would say a reason for that, and if I could just use my own personal opinions based on like how I thought of the movie when I saw it in the trailer, this movie looked terrible. I'm sorry. I know the reviews are like mostly positive. I know that like the cinema score is actually pretty good. However, I think the visuals look so bad. Like I think it looks really bad. I think that the alien designs look terrible. I think the animation style looks awful. I think it looks visually like one of Pixar's ugliest movies. Worse than Strange World. And if you watched my video on Strange World, you know how I felt about that. I, as a Disney adult who was just at Disney World like 2 weeks ago, and I go like very often because I just went for Christmas, like, I'm a big Disney fan. I should be, excited to go see the next Pixar film, and I could not be bothered to go see this. I'm still going to see it because I think I'm going to review it for the channel, but that's the only reason I'm going to see this because I feel like I have to for the channel, but not because I have any genuine interest. I think even if I had kids, I feel like I would be like, there's so many better things that you could do with your time and your brain. And I would be like, I don't know about this. Um, So I don't know. Did you guys go see Elio? Are you surprised that the box office opening is this low? Were you interested in this? Yes, it's Grubhub animation. It's Grubhub animation. Thank you. It's terrible. It's terrible. I hate this bean mouth Grubhub looking animation. I want Pixar to end it. I think Disney knows that they need to update their animation style. We're going to talk about that later. But I think so far that's just applying to Disney animation. Oh no, Pixar as well. So we're going to talk about that. They do know they need to change their animation style, but until they do, I'm still going to critique this because I hate it. I genuinely hate it, how this movie looks. How do you guys feel about it? I don't think any of you saw it. Did anyone even see this movie? I mean, it made 21 million opening weekend. I do not think many people saw this movie. Josh says Disney used Lilo and Stitch to promote Elio. They buried this Pixar movie. Yeah, I do think they buried it. I don't think that they're very confident in it. There was a lot of like, apparently they did a lot of changing behind the scenes with this movie, like trying to like make it better, and this is still the best it came out as. I don't think Disney really had any confidence in this movie whatsoever. Yeah, they did barely promote Elio. I will say I do think Disney kind of buried this film. Yeah, it doesn't even seem like any of you guys even saw it, and I would say you guys are mostly the target audience. Um, John says, "What is Grubhub animation?" So Grubhub, I don't know if you're in America, but Grubhub in America is an app that like delivers stuff to your house, and you can like deliver groceries and stuff like that. Um, and they on their commercials, they have this ugly animation style that has been kind of synonymous with how the West does animation these days, because this animation style is like everywhere now, and I'm about to look it up. Because you guys need to understand why I hate it so much. Yeah, it's this ugly, bean mouthed, doughy, formless, ugly looking thing. It's just these like weird proportions, characters looking ugly on purpose. This is how Pixar movies look now. Exactly like this. This dude here, I cannot stand him. Cannot stand him. This is what Elio looks like to me, by the way. This exactly right here. This is why I don't want to see the movie. But yeah, I feel like the color art style used to look better. I feel like this isn't even the same color art style. This is like the lazy version of the color art style because a lot of the talented artists don't work in Hollywood anymore. And that actually ties to a future story that we'll go over in a second. But yeah, the Grubhub color art style of animation needs to end. It has to end. It's just there's nothing more you can do with it. It's dated. It's heinous and dated at this point. Anyway, I feel very strongly about this. So yeah, it's Pixar. The last two like original Pixar films had the lowest opening. So Elemental had 29, Elio had 21. Elemental wound up doing okay because it just held really well, especially abroad. I just don't see the same thing happening for Elio, but we'll see. But I would be very shocked if that happened. But I do think this also proves why, like, they are insisting so much on doing sequels. Like, they're doing Incredibles 3, they're doing other sequels. Like, I think Pixar is going to continue doing sequels because right now that's what's making the money. And you can see why. Like, the originals really aren't doing that very well. And the next original is Hoppers, which looks terrible. You know what? There was a quote. I should have. Hold on. Can I find it? Because I want you guys to see something because I thought this was the funniest thing that I've seen all day. Hold on. Because Pete Docter was trying to hype up Hoppers by comparing it to Avatar and Mission Impossible. And I need you to read this quote. Because I was like, what is he cooking? Why is not threads? What? What's that? I'm trying to find this tweet, of course. I'm not going to find it. Yeah. I can't find the tweet. But it just says that it's basically like Avatar meets Mission Impossible. You know, that ugly Hoppers film where someone's going to be in the mind of like a little groundhopper. Groundhog's hopper, whatever thing, or beaver, or is it beaver? I don't know, it's one of them. But I'm just like, this movie looks so dumb. And he's like comparing it to freaking Avatar. He's trying so hard to sell his movies, but they really shouldn't be this hard to sell when you have to reach this hard. You know, maybe you should have gone to the drawing board and like pick some like better original stories. Because I want original stories from Pixar, I do, but the original stories they're coming up with are just really dumb. And I'm not going to watch something just because I want something that's original if it still looks stupid. So that's how I kind of feel about it. We're going to talk about Toy Story 5 as well. Yeah, and we're going to talk about that Flow-looking ripoff that Pixar is doing as well. I saw your comment, Josh. But Superman is officially tracking to earn between $95 to $125 million on its domestic opening box office. The budget was $225 million and potentially the highest opening ever for a Superman film. Now, this is complicated because on the surface you're like, oh wow, it might open above $100 million. This is great. However, here's some context here. So, a few weeks ago, the tracking was between 154 to 175 million. So now the tracking has gone down to 95 to 125. And I think this says a lot about how internet hype doesn't always translate to box office. Because even though I've seen a lot more people talking about Superman than, say, Fantastic Four, and I've been seeing people getting really interested in, like, some of the behind the scenes stuff that they've released, I will say I don't know a single person in real life that has been excited or talking about this movie. So, I don't know. I mean, DC is notorious for having, like, really loud fans online, but then they don't show up in theaters. And I'm worried the same could be happening for Superman. Also, I mean, DC's been on a string of flops, so for this to, like, suddenly, like, be a huge hit would be like a turnaround miracle. I mean, they would be praising James Gunn as, like, DC Jesus. um, so I think this is not good that the tracking is going down, but also not totally surprising when you see the track record of how things have been going for DC so far. However, I do think even if this came in on the lower end of tracking, I think that if the word of mouth is good, if this movie is actually good and people really like it and it delivers, I think this is the kind of film that could hold extremely well and could still wind up doing really well, like, say, better than Man of Steel. Because at this point, this definitely has to do better than Man of Steel. Man of Steel was supposed to start the last DC universe, and it didn't make enough for them to feel confident about it. This has to at least make more than Man of Steel when they're trying to start a new cinematic universe. So, like, that is the floor. How much did Man of Steel make worldwide? Because I need to see. Man of Steel worldwide box office. Yeah, it made $667 million. It needs to make more than that. I think, to not be an embarrassment. I think at least 700 million, and I think this won't be an embarrassment. But it needs to have good word of mouth. It needs to hold well, especially if it's going to open this low. So does this surprise you, the tracking for Superman? Do you guys know people in your own lives that are really hyped for this? Do you think this will be a huge hit? What do you guys think about the tracking here? Josh says Superman is set to debut like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Well, that movie had great word of mouth and held extremely well. So if that happens with this movie, which I can totally see, then I think that'll actually be really good for the film because it'll end up somewhere in the 700s, which I think is solid. Danny, what? You thought this was going to be Man of Steel 2? You don't mean that literally, right? You know this is a new Superman, right? Henry will always be... Oh, okay. You're a Henry stan. I sometimes forget that Henry really has stans. He really does. Some people really like his version of Superman. I do not relate. I cannot relate. But I know some people really liked him in Man of Steel. Yeah, I'm with Nazalama. I thought that movie sucked. I'm sorry. I didn't like any of Snyder's DC movies. I thought Man of Steel sucked. I thought Batman v Superman sucked. I thought Justice League sucked. Yeah, I thought he was kind of the anchor holding down the DC the whole time. I did not like his direction. I think it was, like, very, like, 13-year-old edgy bro who's just trying to be, like, edgy because he wants to impress his friends. Like, that was Zack Snyder's, like, whole vibe. But you know what? James Gunn is kind of the same now that I think about it. Like, James Gunn also has really, like, childish, like, juvenile humor. But I think he also balances heart with it, which is, like, something that I think that's why I didn't like Snyder's films, is I felt like there was no heart in them. It was, like, so cynical, so, like, dark and moody and depressing. There was no, like, light or, ironically, hope in those movies. And it looks like that is in this James Gunn movie, so I think I'm going to like it more, just because it doesn't look so emo and depressing. You cannot get past the CGI. Yeah, some people really do not like the CGI in the trailer. The CGI in this film so far doesn't bother me, but maybe it will in the movie. I don't know. We'll see. But the movie's locked, so the CGI should be finished because they otherwise would have had time to keep going, but they haven't. Um. Anyway, I think the CGI looks fine. It's just like I do not like the cinematography or the color grading. That to me is the issue. But anyway, moving on to entertainment news. So yes, Moana 3 is reportedly in the works at Disney. They're gonna keep putting out sequels. They're gonna keep, doing, a million sequels to every franchise because a lot of their original movies haven't been doing well, as we just discussed. But also because they're kind of consistent. I mean, Moana 2 made $1 billion, even though it wasn't that great. Like, of course, they're gonna keep making these movies. I personally I'm not really into the Moana franchise, as you guys know. I think I've never really, I didn't like the first Moana movie, so I kind of thought the sequel was like just as good because I thought the first one wasn't that great. So the fact that everyone thinks the sequel is so bad when I'm like, the sequel's just like the first movie. But I thought the first movie wasn't that great. So I don't know. I'm just not into the Moana franchise. I liked Frozen, although I didn't like Frozen 2. See, this is the issue. Like, I want to like these movies, but I don't. Um, but anyway, are you guys looking forward to Moana 3? Is this something you want to see? By the way, we're still getting the live action Moana 2, so they're going to keep doing Moana sequels while also doing live action Moana movies at the same time. So that's happening. Or do you guys want all that Moana? Do you guys really love this franchise that much? Will says already the second one wasn't good and the first one wasn't great. Yeah, I'm with you, Will. I don't understand how Moana became like so popular. I genuinely don't think these movies are that good. Like, I'm so confused why people think the second one is so much worse. Because I'm like, this is just as bad as the first movie. I don't know. To me, they're like the same quality. Danny says, when will we stop getting the Rock content? You will never stop getting the Rock content. The Rock never sleeps. I kind of respect that about him, honestly. The Rock, he's a hard worker. But you will never be free of him. He will always work. Black Star, you're not looking forward to this? Okay. Yeah, Eugene, it's just for money. These are just for cash grabs. These are not for, like, the art. This is just a cash grab. Selena, also not a fan of Moana. Okay. That Super says it's the tropical vibe. I think that is it. I think people, like, same thing with Avatar. I think people just kind of like movies by an island, by water. I think people just like the island vibes. I think that might be it. I don't know. I guess visually the movies look cool, but story-wise, I always thought they were weak, like the first and the second one. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, moving on. So, as some of you have mentioned, yes, Pixar is trying to change their art style. It looks like they're taking putting a toe into the water. They have a new movie coming out from the director of Luca called Gado. It follows a black cat in Venice who begins to question whether he's lived the right lives, and it features a new animation style. And this is the image that they gave us. So we can see the image style that they're going for. I do like it. I have to say, I actually really do like this art style. So they have me there. However, this looks like a ripoff of Flow. This looks like a direct, like, copy-paste ripoff of Flow. Even the art style is kind of similar to Flow. And as someone who just saw Flow like 2 weeks ago, because I watched it on the plane to Disney World, this looks like a still, like, it came straight out of the movie. Even the plot of it kind of sounds similar. Like, this is a Flow ripoff. It's like they got their feelings hurt that they got beat out by, with Inside Out 2, even though that movie was really good. And so, like, Bob Iger was like, we need a Flow, make a Flow. And so they were like, here's our Flow. Because, like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the Flow won Best Animated Feature last year. It beat out both The Wild Robot and Inside Out 2. So, like, it was like the small indie movie that's not even American. It's like a foreign film. And it beat out two big movies here in the US that also had really good reviews. So that was kind of why like Flow was a big deal last year and why I wanted to watch it when I saw it was available on the plane. But I actually kind of thought Flow was like I was disappointed. I don't know if my expectations were too high, but I kind of was expecting more. I thought it was beautiful. I thought the animation was cool. I actually liked that there was no talking. I thought it was very like immersive in that way. But I thought the ending was weird. It just kind of like ended out of nowhere. I thought the story didn't go anywhere. There's no really moral or point to it. It's just kind of pretty visuals with a very basic story. So I'm kind of hoping that even though this is a Flow ripoff, that for me, Pixar has room for improvement with the story. If the story is stronger, then I might like this movie more. I don't know. But what do you guys think about this? Are you looking interested in this? Are you do you think this is the correct path for Pixar? As Will put it, Flow was good, but it wasn't amazing. That's how I felt about it too. Like there were things about it that were good that I can appreciate about Flow. But I was not blown away in the sense that I had been led to believe that it was like this masterpiece. I would not put it in that category. Yeah, it was just fine. Yeah, I was very surprised. I was expecting, maybe my expectations were too high, but like I was expecting a lot more than what it was. Yeah, The Wild Robot should have won. I agree with you, Rodney. That was the better movie. And I do like Luca. I remember the director of Luca said he wanted to make Pixar's version of a Studio Ghibli film. That's why Luca was much more of like a slow paced, kind of like easy breezy movie. And that's kind of how I expect Flow to be. I just called it Flow. It's not Flow, it's Gado. But I wanted to call it Flow. That's how this movie will probably be. It'll probably be like a very slow paced, more of like an immersive, like experience type of movie, exactly like Flow, because that's kind of what like Luca kind of was as well. So yeah, this is where it's going. Although I'm happy that they're experimenting with new art styles. That at the very least I'm very happy about. Even though it looks like they're directly copying the Flow art style, at least they're trying to do something different. I don't know. It's not Grubhub animation, so I can at least be happy about that. Josh says, I'm expecting lots of movies to look like Flow after Spider-Verse changed stylized animation. Yeah, I feel like Flow is like the natural, like, next step from the sketchy art style of Spider-Verse. Um, I feel like Spider-Verse is obviously hyper comics accurate. It's all comic books. So I feel like Flow was like a artistic direction, clearly taking influence from the Spider-Verse style, but like not making it so comic booky. I would almost say the Flow art style kind of reminds me of the Arcane art style in a way. I kind of feel like that's where animation is evolving towards. And I feel like it's sad that Pixar is like kind of behind the times when it comes to this. Because like Pixar used to be the one setting the tone, setting the standard for animation. Now they're playing catch up, which is just unfortunate. What? You fell asleep, Danny? Oh, I disagree. I disagree. It was a good movie. But anyway, moving on. So, like I said, Disney is trying to change. I think they've finally heard us about being tired of the art style because it looks like they're doing something about it. Firstly, the first big news that I was really happy about is that they're bringing back Ron Clementis, who is a veteran animator at Disney. He wrote and directed many classics, including The Little Mermaid, Hercules, and Aladdin. And he's coming back to Disney Animation as a mentor for the next generation of filmmakers. Firstly, that's amazing. That makes me super happy. This is like everything I've been telling you guys that I've been looking for and like happy about. And like, I feel like I've been ranting about Disney's art style now for like 2 years because I have been. So I feel like Disney's finally heard our complaints and is finally doing something about it. And I think the reason why they're bringing in Ron Clementis is because of this next story, which came out recently, which is that they're apparently Disney is considering returning back to 2D animation. Jared Bush said that right now that we have 2D artists who are doing some bonkers amazing things. I'll leave it at that. So it would make sense that Disney would bring in an old guard in Disney animation, like Ron Clementis. Clements? Is that how you say his name? Um, if they are making a new 2D animated film. And it sounds like they are at least looking into it, which is everything that I've been wanting. If Disney makes another 2D animated, and I'm talking hand drawn, because with Wish they tried to fake it. They tried to like do this sort of like 2D computer hybrid, and it did not work out, and it looked very like uncanny and unfinished. I want like a hand drawn movie that is the quality of like Aladdin, okay, with like all the little gimmicks and stuff that you would find in Aladdin, and like the artistry and the color of Aladdin, right? And like make it a new like Disney animated princess story and a musical. Not do not get a pop star like they did with Wish. Get like a Broadway legend. You know what? They should get the people who did the music for Death Becomes Her, because I saw that on Broadway and it was amazing and the music was amazing. So they should get them. They should get not Lin-Manuel Miranda. I do like Lin, but his style is too particular and I don't want it in everything. I want a new Broadway ingenue that Disney can, take into their wings and like have them do everything. And I want like a classic, like throwback 90s Disney animated Renaissance film. That's what I want. And it sounds like maybe they're actually looking into doing that. Because why would they get it animated from the Renaissance era? Why would they be looking at some 2D, why would they even have 2D artists that are playing around right now if that's not what they're considering? I think that would do a lot to get people like me back on board, old Disney fans that are kind of been disillusioned. I think that would do a lot to get kids excited because it would be something new that they probably aren't used to. I think it'd be something different for the company. I think it could really do wonders for their brand. Um, so I think this is the right call. I really hope that they go all the way and they don't do half measures here. I will wait as long as it takes if we get something that's at that quality of these movies here that you see right here, or here. So yeah, are you guys excited about this? How do you feel about it? Will really wants this to happen. Yeah, they also need to hire some of the musicians. Yeah, I'm a little worried about the music as well. That's why I said they need to get with Broadway people, not pop star people. I do not want a pop star making the music like they tried to do with Wish. I don't want it. And I love pop music. Pop music's my favorite thing. But I do not want pop music in my Disney movies. It's a very different thing. Thera Pitt says, I fully believe in The Princess and the Frog didn't underperform because of the 2D. Yeah, I don't think it was because of the 2D. As I've said, I think it was because of the witchcraft voodoo stuff. I think it was really controversial. Josh says, Disney working on a new Disney princess movie to compete with Wicked and the Lunar Chronicles, which is a futuristic version of classic fairy tales like Cinderella and Rapunzel. I think that Disney trying to compete with Wicked is smart because I think Wicked is the kind of movie that Disney should be making right now. It's a big, cinematic fairy tale epic with music. That is the precise kind of stuff they should be making. Like there's no reason Snow White should not have been on the same quality as Wicked. But yet it was like night and day as far as quality goes. The same kind of care and quality that they put into Wicked should have been the same care and quality they put into Snow White and all of their other like live action fairy tales. It should be the exact same treatment. But they've been like giving them the CW treatment and I don't understand that. So yeah, I could not be happier about this news. Teresa, no. That super says, it will never be like it was. I think it's just for shorts. Oh no, I hope it's not just for shorts. Oh, I don't want that. I don't want that. I hope not. Not Frozen level. Imagine if they did like a Frozen live action movie, but they actually got like a good director like Denis Villeneuve and like they made it huge and epic and gave it the Wicked treatment. Like that would be huge. That would be massive. But instead they would probably like get some like bootleg director because they're cheap and then it would look really crappy like CW, like Snow White. But anyway, let's move on. So, speaking of Pixar, we did get some more details about Toy Story 5. Apparently, technology is going to be essentially the villain of the story, particularly the iPad is going to be the villain. So the lily pad wants to separate Bonnie from her toys, wanting to make her more social. And Jessie, who is now in charge of Bonnie's toys, decides that they need to help, leading her to ask Woody to come back. So that's the plot of this. I have conflicting thoughts and opinions about this. I really do. On one hand, I thought the whole like technology as the villain thing made sense like 10 years ago. Like even Toy Story 3 back in 2010, I thought it made sense to finally do the whole like technology taking over thing cuz like let's be honest. I don't think kids have been playing with like classic cowboy dolls and like literal plastic toys like that like they used to for a long time. A lot of kids, they play on their iPad, they play on their phones. It's all about technology. It's all technology. So I honestly, I was surprised when this wasn't the plot in Toy Story 3. I was even further surprised when it wasn't the plot in Toy Story 4. So I guess they finally got around to it in 2025 when it's been way past the problem to finally address it. And I'm just like, why now? But anyway, it just feels like this commentary is like 10 years too late is all I'm saying. Also, you have to think about the fact that like there might be kids who watch this movie on an iPad. Like, I don't know how parents are going to feel about, like, the villainizing an iPad when so many parents use an iPad as, like, practically a pacifier. I think that can make a lot of parents potentially mad. So I don't know. That might create some sort of friction with Disney and parents. That's kind of like the last thing they need right now. So I don't know how I feel about this. I have very mixed feelings about it. What do you guys think about this plot? Does this interest you for Toy Story 5? Does this pay for the sins of Toy Story 4? Yeah, it's basically about iPad kids. That's what it sounds like. This is like iPad Kids the movie. Beware. Rodney says, I'm just scared for the way future kids are growing up. Like, no sense of fun or joy, but now it's tied to a tablet. Yeah. My mom's a teacher, and she tells me all the time about how the kids now are different. She's been teaching literally my entire life. And she says the kids now, today, are the most unusual that she's ever dealt with. So it definitely scares me too. Angel says, well, maybe parents should put the iPads down. I agree, but are they going to want Disney to tell them that? I don't know. You know what? Cheetah Viper said the plot of Megan. You know what's funny about Megan and how, even related to this, how, like, with AI, like, making it possible for things to talk back to you, how that is no longer a mystical thing. Like, I think about it. Like, I think that as the more that AI develops and becomes, like, an everyday part of life, I think that it's going to affect genre, and it's already affecting genre. Like, for example, with Megan, Megan is playing on the concept of the haunted doll that comes to life, basically. But now they're about to put, like, Mattel, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Mattel just signed a deal with OpenAI to put ChatGPT into their Barbie dolls. That's a real thing. Look it up. That's a real thing. So now it's like, if a kid sees something like a toy talking back to them, they might just think, oh, it's ChatGPT. Like, it's not scary, it's not mystical, it's not magical anymore, because now we have technology that can kind of do the same thing. So I think it's going to change how, like, sci-fi is done. I think it's going to change horror. I saw a tweet that, like, blew my mind. But you know how in Harry Potter, when Harry writes in Tom Riddle's diary and it writes back to him, that's ChatGPT. Like, that used to be magical, that experience of, like, talking to a diary and it talks back to you. But now that's, like, ChatGPT. So now it's, like, it's going to change magic. It's going to change how we look at certain things. I even wonder how it's going to affect, like, the Harry Potter series. It's fascinating. It really is. Because now when you can literally have toys that talk back to you, does it seem magical anymore? I don't know, but I think that's interesting. Um, I think what do you think is going to be a disaster? The ChatGPT Barbies? I'm really fascinated about that one. Really curious. I know, right, Angel? It's basically like Toy Story becoming real. So when Toy Story becomes real, what happens to Toy Story the franchise? You know what I mean? It turns into a horror movie. That's why I'm like it. AI will change genre. Like it's fascinating. Um, but anyway, I just thought that was interesting, so I shared. So we learned a bit more about the next Superman. I mean, Spider-Man, not Superman. Spider-Man movie. I've always been more of a Spider-Man fan. Spider-Man's been my number one favorite character since forever. As you guys know, Spider-Man is the superhero that got me into superhero movies. So like Spider-Man, I always hold it, a special place in my heart for Spider-Man. Um, but we did learn that Zendaya and Jacob Batalon are officially set to reprise their roles as MJ and Ned. Now, I'm not surprised about Zendaya because Amy Pascal was saying literally days after the last Spider-Man movie dropped that like Zendaya was coming back. So like she already said that was coming. She was coming back. So I'm not surprised about that. I do think she will have a small role. I don't think she'll have a huge role in this movie, but I'm not surprised that she's back. Now, who I am surprised about is Jacob. I did not see Ned coming back. I kind of like Ned. I don't mind him being back, but I also thought like this would have been the perfect opportunity to kind of leave him behind. So the fact that they're bringing him with, they're continuing to bring back Ned is interesting. I kind of like it though, just because I honestly, what I like about Spider Man is the more like grounded stuff, the more like everyday Spider Man stuff. So I like Ned because he's like he grounds Peter and like he keeps Peter seeming like a normal regular guy. So that makes me excited on that front. But yeah, I'm a little surprised to see him back. But are you guys happy about this? I think this is really good. And not just them, but also John Bernthal. John Bernthal will be coming back as the Punisher. As like his Punisher that was in, the Netflix Daredevil show. He's coming back as Punisher in Spider-Man as well. And you guys know I love John Bernthal. I may or may not have called him my husband once. Um, Now I called him again. But I do love John Bernthal. So I'm okay with this. This is great for me. I got John Bernthal and Tom Holland. This is like the spectrum of my attraction. I don't understand it, but it's there. But anyway, this is looking like a great movie for me. um, but yeah, are you guys excited about this? Are you guys these the people you want in your movie on top of the redhead chick from Stranger Things? What's her name? Sadie Sink. She's also going to be in this movie. So I think this is actually looking up to be a good cast. I'm still nervous about who Sadie Sink is going to play. I do not want her playing Mary Jane just because I do not want the comparisons between her and Zendaya. But other than that, I do like the cast of this so far. Are you guys looking forward to the next Spider-Man movie? I know not a lot of you have superhero fatigue, but I have to wonder if like is Spider-Man still part of that superhero fatigue, or do you not care? Like, is he still like the one superhero you're still gonna watch no matter what? Because he kind of is for me. Um, Josh says Spider-Man working with the Punisher. This is definitely a street level story. Yeah, I think that's what like Zendaya and Ned being in here and Punisher. These are all like very street level characters. This gives me hope that this is not going to be some pie in the sky like multiverse story where like it's a CGI fest for 3 hours, because I do not want that. For other superhero movies I do want that. For Spider-Man specifically, I do not want that. I just want the next Spider-Man movie to be like, honestly, I would love it if Miles showed up. I would love it if it was just like kind of like Spider-Man 2 where it's just like Tom Holland's Peter Parker trying to make it and live in New York City on his own. Um, and like maybe he meets Milo and they get into some trouble together and they have to team up to defeat some bigger villain. I would love if that were the plot of the next Spider-Man movie. I would be happy. Just that simple. Um, but it doesn't seem like that's what they're going to be doing, unfortunately. But I do like the cast so far. Okay, Ethereal Dragon says there's no superhero fatigue, only bad writing fatigue. But I do think that people are starting to associate superhero movies with bad writing. So I think it kind of is starting to become one and the same. Um, Oh yeah, Rodney says, I hope the director does Shang-Chi 2 after this. Maybe. I don't know. Are they even doing Shang-Chi 2? I feel like at this point it's been so long, I wouldn't hold my breath about that. Okay, Danny agrees with me about John. Yes, I agree. Um, okay, some of you are mad about this though, which is interesting. Rodney says Tom Holland ain't no Andrew Garfield. There's room for both. There is room for both. um, anyway, I'm still really looking forward to it, and I think these new names being dropped here is exciting. Last story I have is actually this new trailer for Jurassic World. Um, they're really leaning hard into the horror aspect of this, and while that could be okay, what I liked about the original Jurassic Park, and I would actually say the original Jurassic Park is maybe in my top 20 favorite movies of all time. I love Jurassic Park, which is, you have to know how much I thoroughly hated Jurassic World Dominion for me to be, for that movie to have ruined my interest in this franchise entirely. Because I love Jurassic Park that much. But yet, I hated Jurassic World Dominion that much more. I really hated that movie. Um, and they know this is a reboot. This isn't the same team. This isn't the same director, even. I know that. However, it looks like they're going the horror route. And, like, what I liked about the original Jurassic Park was that it was all about wonder. And, like, my favorite scene in Jurassic Park is actually when they're seeing the brontosauruses for the first time, and it's the John Williams score is playing, and they're in the grass, they're looking around, and they're amazed. I love that. I love the sense of wonderment and amazement. Because it makes me feel that, and I don't see that anywhere in this trailer because it looks like they're just trying to be a generic horror film. Like this almost looks like The Meg. You know what I mean? Like this right here looks very The Meg-ish. And I don't want Jurassic World to be The Meg, but it looks like The Meg. I don't know. I don't know. I think it looks okay. It doesn't look terrible, but it doesn't look like what I like or used to like about this franchise. So, what are your thoughts on Jurassic World? Are you excited about this movie? Are you excited about it? Do you like it? Did you like the trailer? What are your thoughts? Um, yeah, it gives me Fallen Kingdom vibes. I can see that. Yeah. Um, Angel Barrera, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. You said, why isn't it called Jurassic Galaxy? I do think they should have dropped the Jurassic World title because this isn't part of the Jurassic World trilogy. So I wish they had gone with something else, like Jurassic Rebirth. I think that would have been cleaner than going Jurassic World Rebirth. Because now it's just going to seem like it's part of the Jurassic World trilogy, and I would not want to be tied to those movies. Although I like the first Jurassic World. I really like the first Jurassic World. But the sequels, man, were a test of my endurance and patience. Um, okay, so some of you are very excited. That's great. Danny says, did you see that Ariana turned down the Hercules live action movie Disney offered her? Yeah, Disney apparently begged for her to be in that movie. Like, apparently they sent people to the Oscars to, like, talk to her in person to try to get her to sign, like, on the dot in person, which is intense and crazy. I understand why they wanted her so badly. I think she would have been a massive asset for that movie. However, I can understand why Ariana would have turned it down. A, because a lot of these live action movies aren't good. I mean, look at what happened to Rachel Zegler with Snow White. I know Ariana wouldn't want the same thing to happen to her. Also, I don't think she wants to be seen as a Disney actress. She's already from Nickelodeon, so I think she's trying to shed that, like, kiddie image. And I don't think she wants to be in a Disney movie right now. So I understand why she wouldn't want to do it. But yeah, I understand that Disney desperately wanted her. Yeah, Cheetah Viper, I'm the same. I like the first Jurassic World, but I did not like the sequels at all. I think they got progressively worse, like much worse with each movie. But anyway, that is actually it for today. We had a lot to go over, but this was actually a really fun stream. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. This was a really good time. I'll see you guys next Sunday. We'll have, I guess, more to talk about. Thank you all for coming, and I'll see you guys next week. Or I might see you guys this week if I see Elio. I might have like a surprise stream. So make sure you follow me on Twitter if you want to know about that. But yes, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.